Your brain has one job, and sometimes it does it ass backwards. Have you ever had one of those moments where you thought, why am I reacting like this? I know this does not make sense. I feel like I'm overreacting. Maybe somebody does not text you back, and within 6 minutes, your brain has decided they're angry with you, the relationship is over, and you may need to relocate to another state. Maybe your boss sends you a message that says, can we talk tomorrow? That's it. No punctuation suggesting doom. No skull and crossbones emoji. Just, can we talk tomorrow? But your brain immediately says, danger. Well, it's been nice having an income. Pack your bags. Or maybe your spouse sighs from the other side of the room and your brain suddenly becomes an expert in forensic sigh analysis. That was not a regular sigh. That was an irritated sigh. They're definitely mad at me. What did I do? Was it something I said this morning? Was it because I left the cabinet open? Is our marriage ending? Meanwhile, they may be just tired. This is what brains do. They take a tiny amount of information, add several assumptions, sprinkle in a little fear, and then present the final story with the confidence of someone who has personally investigated the case. Your brain has the confidence of a toddler. Very little evidence, maximum certainty. And today I want to talk about why intelligent, analytical, observant people can be especially vulnerable to overthinking. Not because intelligence automatically causes anxiety, and not because smart people are somehow more emotionally complicated than everybody else, but because it's the same brain that is good at noticing patterns, analyzing information, solving problems, and imagining possibilities can also turn those skills against you. Your brain has one primary function, literally one: keep you alive. Not make you happy, not make you calm, not help you build a healthy relationship, not help you get 8 hours of sleep. Job's not to help you feel fulfilled, confident, successful, emotionally secure, or financially stable. Its basic mission is don't die. And if your brain has to make you uncomfortable, exhausted, suspicious, avoidant, or completely miserable in order to accomplish that mission, it is often perfectly willing to do so. Your brain is not sitting around thinking, how can I support her personal growth today? It's thinking, what could go wrong and how can we prevent it? From a survival standpoint, that makes sense. If our ancestors heard something moving in the bushes and assumed it was dangerous when it actually was nothing, they may have experienced a brief inconvenience. But if they assumed it was nothing and it turned out to be a predator, that could be a much bigger problem. So the brain became very good at leaning towards caution. The problem is that most of us are no longer running from predators. We're trying to answer emails, pay our mortgage, we're dealing with relationships, we're raising children, we're going to medical appointments, we're sitting in meetings, we're navigating social media, bills, traffic, family conflict, work deadlines, and people who send us messages saying, okay. But our nervous system is still using an alarm system that was designed to help us survive actual threats. So sometimes your brain reacts to an unanswered text as though you have been abandoned in the wilderness. Your brain is trying to keep you alive. Sometimes it just does it ass backwards. And I don't think our biggest mistake is treating our behaviors like enemies. I think our biggest mistake is treating our brain like it's always correct. Because your brain can be incredibly persuasive. It can give you a thought with such confidence that it feels like a fact. They are upset with me. I'm going to fail. Something bad is going to happen. I cannot handle this. I cannot do this. If I relax, I will miss something. If I trust this person, I will get hurt. If I make the wrong decision, everything will fall apart. And because the thought came from inside our own brain, we often assume it deserves immediate credibility. But your brain is not a court of law. It does not require evidence before making accusations or assumptions. Sometimes it's more like a neighborhood Facebook group. A lot of urgency, a lot of speculation, very little fact checking. A thought is not automatically a fact. A prediction is not automatically a warning. Feeling unsafe does not always mean that you are unsafe. And the fact that your brain can imagine something does not mean that something is likely to happen. Our brains are constantly predicting. Our brains are asking what happens next so we can plan. That ability helps us plan, prepare, solve problems, and recognize patterns. It's one of the reasons analytical people can be excellent at their jobs. They see details other people miss. They anticipate complications. They connect information. They consider multiple outcomes. They can walk into a situation and immediately identify five things that could be problems. That can be an incredible strength until your brain starts trying to solve things that cannot actually be solved. An unanswered text, another person's mood, a decision that has no perfect outcome, whether someone secretly dislikes you, whether your child will ever get hurt, whether something bad can happen 5 years from now. Your brain says, if we think about this long enough, we will eventually reach certainty. So you analyze it again and again and again. You examine the tone. You replay the conversation. You consider every interpretation. You imagine what you could have said differently. You predict the other person's response. You mentally prepare for all 12 possible disasters. And eventually, you're not solving the problem anymore. You're walking around the same circle with increasingly elaborate scenery. Thinking more is not always thinking better. Sometimes overthinking is simply the brain attempting to eliminate uncertainty. And unfortunately, uncertainty is a part of being alive. You cannot think your way into a guarantee. You cannot analyze another person until they become predictable. You cannot imagine every danger and somehow prevent life from happening. But your brain may keep trying because it believes that preparation equals protection. This also connects to the idea discussed in The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. A major concept associated with trauma and nervous system responses is that the body can react before the conscious thinking part of the brain has fully understood what is happening. Your body does not necessarily speak in full sentences. It does not calmly announce, "Good afternoon. I have reviewed the current situation and determined that we may be facing an interpersonal threat." Your body reacts. Your heart speeds up. Your muscles tense. Your breathing changes. Your stomach tightens. Your chest feels heavy. You become restless. You feel hot. You freeze. You want to escape. You feel irritable. Something in your nervous system has activated. Then your brain tries to explain the activation. It says, "Why do I feel like this?" And because the brain does not like an unanswered question, it starts producing possible explanations. They must be angry with me. I must be in danger. Something bad's coming. I need to leave. I need to defend myself. I need to fix this immediately. Sometimes the brain identifies the situation accurately. Other times, the body sounds an alarm because something reminded it of danger and the brain created a story to match that feeling. That distinction matters. Your nervous system can be activated without your first interpretation being correct. Your body may be communicating, "Something here feels familiar." But your brain translates that into, "Something terrible is happening right now." The nervous system reacts first. The brain explains second, and sometimes the explanation is wrong. Let me give you a very real life example from my own life. Buc-ee's. If you have been to Buc-ee's, you already know where this is going. If you have never been to Buc-ee's, imagine somebody took a gas station, a shopping mall, a gift shop, a barbecue restaurant, an amusement park, a Black Friday, and forced them all to share one parking lot. There are people everywhere. Children running around, shopping carts coming from every direction. Someone's carrying a brisket sandwich. Someone else is buying a decorative metal chicken. There are beaver shirts, beaver hats, beaver blankets, beaver mugs, and at least one person carrying a stuffed beaver the size of an actual child. It is loud. It is crowded. There is movement everywhere. My husband can walk into Buc-ee's and think, this is amazing. I walk into Buc-ee's and my nervous system immediately says, absolutely not. Clean bathroom or not, no. My brain is looking around like there are approximately 8,000 people in this building. We are trapped. There is no clear exit strategy. We may have to live here now. Is Buc-ee's actually dangerous? No. It's a gas station with excellent bathrooms and an emotionally overwhelming amount of beef jerky. But my nervous system is not evaluating the situation based on customer reviews and crime statistics. It is reacting to noise, crowds, movement, proximity, and sensory overload. My body activates. I feel like I can't breathe. Then my brain starts explaining, it is too crowded. We cannot move. What if something happens? Where are all the kids? What if we cannot get out? We need to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. My body reacted first. My brain created the story second. And this is why I tell people not to believe every thought in their brain and every thought their brain produces, because this is the same brain that walks into Buc-ee's and behaves as though we have entered the Hunger Games. And it feels like that. Meanwhile, everybody else is just trying to get fudge. The physical reaction is real. The distress, real. The sensory overload, very real. But the first story my brain gives me about what that feeling means may not be accurate. That's an important difference. We do not need to dismiss what our body's doing. We also do not have to hand our brain complete authority over the interpretation. And this becomes even more important when we think about childhood. Children are not born knowing whether the world is safe. We automatically think it's safe until our brains learn what safety means through repeated experiences. From the beginning, a child's brain and nervous system are gathering information. What happens when I cry? Does somebody come? What happens when I make a mistake? Am I comforted, corrected, humiliated, ignored, or punished? Can I ask for help? Are the adults around me predictable? Can I relax? Do I have to monitor everyone's mood? Do I need to stay quiet? Do I need to become invisible? Do I have to keep everyone happy? Is love consistent? Can conflict be repaired? These experiences become information. A child who grows up in a home that is generally warm, supportive, emotionally safe, and predictable is more likely to learn people can be trusted. Curiosity is safe. Mistakes do not automatically mean rejection. I can ask for help. Conflict does not mean the relationship is over. My feelings can be expressed. Change can be uncomfortable without being dangerous. The world is not always safe, but safety is possible. That does not mean the child will never develop anxiety. It does not mean the family was perfect. It does not mean every supportive child becomes a relaxed, emotionally secure adult. Human development is much more complicated than that. But repeated experiences of safety give the nervous system evidence that curiosity is possible. When the brain is not constantly focused on survival, it has more room to explore, to learn, to trust, to take healthy risks, to adapt, to tolerate mistakes, to consider new information, to change its mind. Curiosity is much easier when your nervous system is not busy scratching or searching for the next threat. But a child who grows up in a home that is unpredictable, frightening, highly critical, emotionally neglectful, violent, chaotic, or simply never feels safe may learn a very different set of rules. Maybe there's yelling. Maybe there's addiction. Maybe there's quiet. Maybe a caregiver is affectionate one day and terrifying the next. Maybe the child has to monitor footsteps, facial expressions, doors closing, cars pulling into the driveway, or changes in someone's tone. Maybe the child never knows which version of an adult is going to walk into the room. That child's brain adapts. It has to. It may build walls. It may become guarded. It may become suspicious. It may stop asking for help. It may become very independent because depending on other people did not feel safe. It may become highly sensitive to changes in tone, body language, silence, or facial expression. It may learn to keep everybody happy. It may learn to become invisible. It may learn to fight before anyone else gets the chance to hurt it. It may learn that closeness is dangerous. It may learn that mistakes have consequences far beyond the mistake itself. These are not signs that the child was weak. These are signs that the brain was learning how to survive the environment it was given. If dad's truck pulling into the driveway too fast meant that everybody needed to disappear, the child's brain learned to notice the truck. If silence meant someone was angry, the child's brain learned to fear silence. If asking for something led to criticism, the child learned not to need anything. If trusting someone repeatedly led to disappointment, the child learned to build a wall. Those walls did not appear for no reason. They served a purpose. The problem is that nobody contacts your brain on your 18th birthday and says, "Hey, congratulations, you're now legally an adult. Please uninstall all childhood survival software." That would be convenient for some things, but no. The brain keeps running Windows 95 and trying to solve problems in 2026. You may now be in a safe relationship, but your nervous system is still watching for abandonment. You may now have a supportive boss, but feedback still feels like humiliation. You may now be surrounded by trustworthy people, but asking for help still feels dangerous. Your spouse may simply be tired, but their silence feels like the silence you learned to fear years ago. Someone may genuinely love you, and part of your brain still says, "Don't trust it." Not because you're intentionally sabotaging the relationship, not because you enjoy being guarded, not because you're unwilling to change. Your brain may be reacting to what it had to become in order to protect who you used to be. That does not mean the past controls everything. It means the nervous system may need repeated experiences of safety before it updates its expectations. This is where CBD can be incredibly useful. CBT helps us slow the process down and examine the thought. What happened? What did I immediately tell myself? What emotion followed? What did I do next? What evidence supports this thought? What evidence does not support it? Am I hearing someone else's voice? Is there another explanation? Am I making a prediction and treating it like a fact? Am I assuming I know what somebody else is thinking? Am I imagining the worst case scenario and acting as though it's already happened? This is not about telling yourself everything is fine. Sometimes everything is not fine. It's about asking whether your interpretation is supported by the information you actually have. For example, your boss says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" Your automatic thought is, "I'm being fired. I'm canned. Pack my bag." CBT does not require you to say, "My boss absolutely loves me and I'm definitely getting promoted." That would also be an assumption. The more balanced thought might be, "I do not know what the meeting is about. My anxiety is filling in the missing information with the worst possible explanation." That's accurate. Trauma-informed work adds another layer. It asks, what happened in my body before the thought appeared? Did my chest tighten? Did my stomach drop? Did I freeze? Did the situation remind my nervous system of something familiar? Was I already activated before my brain created the explanation? Then DBT adds another important question. Regardless of what I'm feeling, what response is most effective right now? Not what response will make the feeling disappear immediately, although that's what we want. Not what response proves that I'm right. Not what response will force the other person to reassure me. What is effective? Maybe the effective response is waiting for more information. Maybe it's asking a direct question. Maybe it's taking a break before responding. Maybe it's regulating your body before trying to reason with your thoughts. Maybe it's acknowledging my nervous system is activated and I do not have to make a decision from this state. CBT asks, is the thought accurate? Trauma informed work asks, why did the alarm go off? DBT asks, what response will actually help in this situation? These approaches are not necessarily competing, they're looking at different parts of the same process. And this is especially important for people who overthink, because overthinking can look intelligent. It can feel responsible. It can feel like preparation. It can feel like problem solving. But sometimes it is anxiety wearing glasses and carrying a clipboard. It looks official. That does not mean it knows what is going on or what it's doing. One helpful question is, am I solving a problem or am I trying to eliminate uncertainty? A solvable problem has an action. I need to make an appointment. I need to send an email. I need to gather information. I need to have a conversation. I need to make a decision by Friday. Overthinking usually does not move you towards an action. It keeps asking the same question in slightly different ways. What if? But what if? Okay, but what if that happens? What if this happens? And then what? And then what? Eventually, your brain is writing a 12-season television drama based on a 3-word text message. At some point, thinking becomes rumination, and rumination does not create certainty. It usually creates exhaustion. So, what can you do when your brain is telling you a survival story? First, notice the body. Before arguing with the thought, ask, what is happening physically? Is my heart racing? Am I holding my breath? Are my shoulders tense? Do I feel trapped? Am I overstimulated? Am I hungry, exhausted, or overwhelmed? Sometimes the brain is trying to solve a nervous system problem with more thinking. That rarely works. Second, identify the story. What is my brain predicting? They're going to leave. I'm going to fail. I'm not safe. I cannot handle this. Something bad is going to happen. Name it. Not because naming it makes it disappear, but because it helps you observe the thought instead of automatically becoming the thought. Third, ask, what evidence do I actually have? Not what could happen. Almost anything could happen. What is happening? What information is available right now? Fourth, ask, is this a present day threat or is my brain using an old rule? Am I responding to this person? Or am I responding to everybody this person reminds me of? Am I reacting to this disagreement? Or am I reacting to what disagreement used to mean? Am I reacting to this mistake? Or am I reacting to what mistakes cost me in the past? Fifth, ask, what is the most effective next step? Not the perfect step, not the step that guarantees safety, the next effective step. Sometimes that step is doing nothing until you have more information. That can feel intolerable to an anxious brain. Your brain wants closure immediately. It wants to send another text. It wants to explain. It wants to apologize for something you may not have done. It wants to fix the relationship before you even know whether anything is wrong. It wants to leave Buc-ee's before anyone has had a chance to buy the fudge. Sometimes the work is allowing the discomfort to exist without obeying the first command your brain gives you. And I want to be clear about something. This is not about blaming people for their reactions. It's not about saying, you know better, so calm down. That is rarely helpful. People can understand intellectually that they are safe while their bodies are reacting as though they are not. You can know a thought is unlikely and still feel terrified. You can understand the probability is low and still be overwhelmed by the possibility. The thinking brain and the nervous system do not always update at the same speed. That is why healing usually requires more than one rational conversation with yourself. The brain learns through repetition, through experiences, through noticing that conflict happened and the relationship survived, that you asked for help and were not humiliated, that you made a mistake and repaired it, that you set a boundary and were still loved, that you entered a crowded place, became activated, and eventually returned to safety, that you felt afraid and did not automatically let fear make every decision. Over time, the nervous system receives new information. Nothing bad will ever happen. That simply would not be true. The new information is, I can experience discomfort and respond effectively. I can gather evidence before believing the story. I can survive uncertainty. I can trust carefully without abandoning myself. I can notice the alarm without assuming there is a fire. Your brain is not broken. It is not your enemy. It may simply be overprotective, outdated, overstimulated, or working from information that once made sense. The goal is not to stop your brain from protecting you. Its job is still survival. The goal is to help it become more accurate about what requires protection currently, today, because protection and accuracy are not always the same thing. Sometimes your nervous system is detecting a real threat. Sometimes it's detecting a reminder. Sometimes your brain is giving you valuable information. Sometimes it's telling you a survival story. And the work is learning to pause long enough to know the difference. So the next time your brain confidently announces, everybody's mad at me, I am definitely getting fired, this relationship is over, we are trapped inside Buc-ee's forever. Take a breath. Look at the evidence. Notice your body. Ask what old rule may have been activated. And then ask, what is the most effective response I can choose right in this moment? Because your brain has one job: keep you alive. And honestly, it deserves credit for getting you this far. But sometimes it also needs a supervisor. If this sounds familiar, tell me in the comments. What's your survival does your brain tell you with absolutely no evidence and minimum confidence? And if you enjoy learning why our brains behave the way they do, especially when they're being a little dramatic, subscribe and we will keep getting curious together.